Hi, this is Buzz, and I thought I would show this Fender Strat made in Mexico Blacktop Strat that I've done a makeover on. And from what I read at some of the forums is that you might be interested in some of these modifications that I did. And so let's quickly go through this. Open up this box here. This is the stuff that came on the guitar. First of all, I couldn't stand these black top knobs, and to change them you have to change the actual pots because they have a smooth shaft with a set screw, and so the only way to change these ugly ass things is to change the pots, which I didn't mind doing. So instead of taking it all apart, I just left it all together. It's all connected, and for right now I'm using the same jack in there. And what I've done was, some people were uninformed or they didn't know, but you can put long leg pickups in here, and I'll show you. This is a set of Seymour Duncan 59s. Ooh, I left one screw in there, right there. And they do fit because they made the route so deep, it's like 0.94 inches deep. And the only thing is that when you're lowering the pickups, if you go too low, it's gonna pop out of the screw, and then you'd have to take the pick guard off to put it back in. But with the pickups at their lowest settings, they're lower than anybody should ever want them to be. The key is you've got to cut a little bit off the oh, I've been bonded. The screws can only be an inch long. See, there's a set of screws. I clipped the end off with wire cutters, and then I filed it and measured it with the caliper till from the top of the head to the bottom of the screw was exactly an inch. Because if you go, see, measuring from there to there, you want that to be 1 inch. Alright, so that's the dreaded pool route. And the reason I did this makeover is to kind of determine what I want to do on a Strat when I make one from scratch, how I want the route to be. And since this Strat kind of had vintage appointments like that style of tailpiece, I know they scrimped on the trem block, you know, it's part zinc. So far, I don't know if on one that I build, it's not going to be that kind. But with anyway, back to the guitar. I agree with the other posters that said that the neck pickup sounds muddy and dark. It did. The bridge pickup didn't sound bad at all. Pop one of them out of here. This is the neck pickup, and they are wax potted. In fact, there was enough wax to make to open up my own candle shop from what I removed. I've never had a problem with pickups being microphonic or squealing as long as the base plate screws are tightened down real good, and as long as the cover is pressed down really good when you solder it. The previous owner did this relic job naturally on here, and he did a lot of other neat stuff on here. Some of it, it must have been in a sunny room because this is a sonic blue, and you can see how it yellowed when you look under the guard. So it looks kind of like a real vintage color, and anyway, back to the pickups. The original pickups, they sounded good. I'm not into hot pickups. I make Les Paul replicas, exact copies of late 50s bursts. So all of my humbucker pickups are PAFs, you know, replicas by Throwback, Wiz, some others. Now that's the bridge pickup. Doesn't sound bad. It sounds like sort of like the early Van Halen, and it had the 4-conductor wire. And I'm not gonna list off all the specs you already know, and you could read right off of Sweetwater's website. You know, that's what they call the super switch. I didn't try to copy that. I googled up information on 2 humbuckers and 2 volumes and 1 tone, and this is the closest thing. I can't read schematics. I can read wiring diagrams. In my first attempt I got that backwards. I guess that was supposed to be as viewed from the bottom, and when I plugged it in, all I had to do was to reverse. The bridge pickup gets wired there, the bridge goes there, and the neck goes there. Well, they've got it, see the bridge going there, but I think they didn't orient this, or like I said, I don't know how to read schematics, and I have no use for a tone in a Strat. So it's what I did is I put in a pot that was broke that I saved, and which is a good decision to make, to save your old pots, because you can sometimes use parts out of them. And I put in a 3-way CRL switch, which is like what you would find in a vintage Fender style 3-way, because now it's like a Les Paul. It's the bridge, the middle, and the neck, just like a Les Paul, like a stock one. No split coiling or in phase out of phase bullshit. The problem I have with their setup was the 2nd and 4th positions sounded kind of stratty, but when you switch from the full humbucker to that, your volume drops somewhat, and it's like doing neither good. I would rather do one thing good than to do a bunch of things half-assed. So what they tried to do was to get Strat sounds. That's probably why they went with such hot pickups. The bridge measured like 13 point something, and the neck was 12 point something. And the bridge pickup is the wider spaced for a Fender. This pickup isn't. I don't really notice it that much. StewMac sells Golden Age pickups that would work good in this, and I might buy them by tonight as the sale will be over with, because they're only like 37 bucks without covers. They come in zebra. They have the short legs. If I make my own 2 humbucker Strat, of course I'm not going to route deeper than I have to, and I'm not going to do a pool route. I'll probably use short leg PAFs, and you can custom order short leg PAFs from the Seymour Duncan custom shop, but those are the only ones where you can select what you want. Like if I want the F-spaced bridge pickup. So I played it last night. It sounded great. I found a few high frets up here, and I fixed that since I took it back apart last night, and I leveled those areas that it was, when I would bend, it would note out right here, so I fixed that. I decided to, I think I got them pretty much leveled, so I put tape on all the wood, and I went ahead and polished them, you know, after I reground them. Now, at first, I couldn't keep this thing in tune for more than 2 minutes, even though I had a lot of whines on the G and the second. And, like I said, I had a lot of whines. It kept going out of tune. I even tried locking the string. This is a look at the tuner. It's an 18-to-1 ratio. It has the 2-prong right there. So what I ordered, and I just got them today, is these Clusons from StewMac. They were on sale for like $44. They have a 19:1 ratio. I like the looks way better of nickel, the warmer look of nickel compared to chrome, and a lot of times these are too close together on that. That's probably why Fender went with that smaller button size. So these somewhat have the look of a vintage Fender Kluson, and the guitar has a lot of sustain. I thought maybe it was just the pickups, but it still had the same sustain. I don't know why. It is the body is made out of alder. The fretboard is Indian. I refretted it. Okay. That was first thing. I was dying to try this guitar, and it arrived. I bought it secondhand about a month ago, and it had tongue rise. Like these last 4 frets, it was like curled up there. That might, the suntan it got from wherever the guy had it hanging must have also got there. So it was like, well, if I have to replace 5 to 10 frets, to get it good and level, you want those out of the way. I figure, why am I gonna still keep the frets that I hate? And you can disagree with me, but here's one of the original frets. It was a .046 tall, and that's not tall to me. And it's like softer wire, whatever it was. The width is about 100, so I was able to find an exact match at Stu Mac for this kind of wire if I just wanted to do a partial refret. Like I said, why would I want to end up with fret size that I hate just to improve that slightly to where that hump would be gone, and and then I could have sold the guitar like that. But although it took me many hours, because I only know one way to do frets, and that's the right way, good, and getting the fretboard level and everything, what I did was, it's originally a 9.5 radius all the way down, but I did a compound radius to where from right about here, it tapers to a 12-inch radius, so that you can get the action lower. When you bend, they're not going to note out, because how it's shaped like that, it's going to be a little bit flatter down here at the end, but you still have that 9.5 radius there. So anyway, I can't wait to put on these tuners, which are a direct fit. Let me flip it over without forgetting about the pick guard and slamming it over. Okay. See, this is an exact fit. Here's one of the new Klusons, and they fit right in those holes. No mods needed. I was thinking of putting on vintage Klusons, because I have a set of conversion bushings. The larger bushings go in those holes. They're from Stu Mac. They would go in there, and then I would be able to, because I have already had a few sets of those. The Klusons are really good for the Strats, that is. And okay, what else did I do for this makeover? There you got a little bit of free relic right there. I dulled down the neck with 600 grit, because it's a polyurethane finish on the body and the neck. I'm not going to do that on this guitar. I'm not going to refinish it. Besides, the color's really nice. I'll save all that for when I'm going to do my own, but I'll do another video of me playing this guitar. I, like many others, had an issue with these scratching the hell out of my palm. I'm gonna get some shorter ones, because even though I was able to get the burrs off of the hex set screws, that's what they're called. These are M3s, by the way. They're not the vintage spec 440. But anyway, just to stop them from scratching me, I kind of did a little bit on that. Some of the other small things, this isn't about setup or tricks or anything like that, but it's something I always do to Strats anyway, is I don't like it when the trem arm is always, you know, flippity flopping all around really loose and kind of wobbly. So what you do is you take it all the way out and then you run a little bit of the ultra thin super glue, the kind that's like water, and you get that on the thread, and then you put it in there and you keep moving it while it's drying. You don't want it to freeze, you know, you don't want it to bond, and then that way it's there and it's tight. There's no wiggle in it. It's there when you want it, not when you want. And I did that on all these saddles. I never did that before on the saddles, but it was like every time I would take the strings off, these would loosen up on their own. That way I can still turn them, but let me see if I got my wrench here. No, I don't. Anyway, so yeah, the first things that were bothering me was these knobs. Then I found out about having to change the pots. All Strats are coming with these 1.75 inch screws, and that still goes on today, but I don't know if it's a secret or not, but vintage ones had 2-inch screws, and let me grab one of them here. They're 2-inch, and I use these on all my Strats. They are not going to go through the neck. See, they're like the wood screw style, and that gives you a better bite. You're less likely to strip out the threads with the longer screw because you got more of it in there, you know. And you don't need to drill or anything. They're just going to go right in. A little bit of wax might help. You always keep some of this beeswax. Let me get the thing if it's sitting right here. These cakes of beeswax. These help on any kind of construction project too, for when you're driving screws and you don't want, you just rub the threads on that and then they go right in. Okay, so told you about the refret. I used jumbo. I didn't say what size I used. I like jumbo on Strats because the extra width kind of matches the extra scale of 25.5. On a Les Paul, they can seem kind of too close together at the end, so on a Les Paul, I usually use the only .090 frets. I've done jumbo on Les Pauls a couple of times, though. These are not stainless steel. Like I said, I didn't want to invest too much in this Strat, but it'll make a great player. I expect to get more money for it than I would if it was out of the box. Although everybody I read saying that, oh, it plays great. Yeah, it depends on what you call great. This thing was like a dobro. I had to have the strings up so high because of that. I even had the truss rod tightened as tight as it would go, and it was still had that issue. Now that I refretted it, you know, took these out, put in the jumbos, 110 times .055, which is as tall as they come. You know, on that topic, I never used it, but I bought some of the super jumbo, and I never used it. And then, you know, and I kind of thought about it, these are wider. They're .118 wide, whereas the jumbo's .110 wide, but these are barely taller at all. The package says that the crown height is .058, okay? And the regular jumbo is .057, so 1/1000th of an inch in height, and you're getting frets that are like really wide. And I'm kind of curious to try it. I think Gary Moore had this put on the Greenie Burst because I saw it in person, and I'm not going to put a caliper to the guitar, but I think it was super. He probably just told his luthier, I want the biggest frets that you can find on there. And so they were wide, and if you look at any close-up pictures of the fretboard on it, so apparently some people do like that. It probably adds sustain if they're not crowned good. They're not. You might get bad innotation or that metallic slapping sound. I don't get metallic slapping sounds out of these. This isn't a luthier lesson, but I might as well explain that. You got to re-crown them carefully with like good diamond re-crowning files. And did I cover everything? The pickups. I got other pickups I can try. See, so what I found out at the forums, nobody volunteered that information or said it, but actually I think a few people said you couldn't put long leg pickups in here, and you can. You just got to have the right length screws. I'm not going to cut my leads. You kind of got to be careful where you drape them down in there so they don't interfere with the pickup adjustments. I used 500K pots, of course, CTS premium. Like I said on that tone, I didn't install any cap. It's not even connected to the other ones. As you see, it's just sitting there for looks. Actually, when I bought these knobs off of Amazon, this set of knobs was 16 bucks. Took them like 2 days to get here. They're a pretty good match. I wanted to show you these because these arrived today at the same time as the tuners. These are horrible. I mean, on the website they kind of looked like that, but this is the worst relic job that I ever saw. I'm going to send these back. I guess they're supposed to resemble the Bakelite version, and I've never saw any real old battered Strats with black dye around the obviously black dye. You know, I don't know who relics these for Stu Mac, but let me give him a cyber slap. Anyway, that's probably all I'm going to do to this guitar. I don't know if I'm going to bother to experiment with other pickups. You know, I usually don't. These were kind of like a backup set of PAF imitations that are like over the counter, that if someone wanted a discount on a Les Paul, then I would offer those or no pickups. But yeah, these tuners do kind of suck, the stock ones. Besides that one, the issue of them slipping, where I had to keep constantly tuning them being too close together, and there seems to be some slack. From what I read, the Shallers were good. So there's a couple of different brands that have those two-prong. You would just search two-prong, 6-in-line, and of course, the Shallers were probably pretty good, but I liked everything that these seemed to have on the specs, you know, and with the nickel and then that vintage style button and the 19:1 ratio, I went with these. And what else? Oh, I added a under the string tree. It was weird how it was up against the wood, so I took out the screw and I added one of those things to raise it up like on a vintage Strat. And what else? Of course, the tip. It was black. Hated that. And so that ends this video, and then I'll do one of me playing it. And some of the other stuff I got going on here is this grill. It's steel, and I'm going to put it on this Jet City amp head. Before I do, I'll probably paint it black, install like LED lights. Okay, see you at the next vid.